There's a question that lingers beneath all study, all ritual, and all philosophy. What wisdom do you fear will die with you? Not what you know, but what you have lived. Not what you can explain, but what you have become. Tonight we enter the current of Furcas, the philosopher among spirits, the teacher of ethics, discipline, and the weight of knowledge carried across time. This is not a summoning. This is a confrontation with legacy, with responsibility, with the quiet terror that everything that you have learned might vanish with your final breath. Join me now in and through the Static Seance.
Between stations, neither here nor gone. The hum of voices trapped in the wires, their confessions dissolving into static. A seance not in candlelit rooms, but on flickering screens, where the ghosts don't knock, but distort the signal. Shadows coil in the white noise. If only one dares to alter their own frequency, and listen.
Furcas appears in the Ars Goetia as a knight, a rare rank, depicted as an old man with a beard, riding a horse and carrying a sharpened weapon. He teaches philosophy, logic, ethics, the virtues of herbs and stones. But more importantly, Furcas represents discipline and understanding, not knowledge as accumulation, but knowledge as refinement. In Renaissance occult philosophy, to study logic and ethics was not merely intellectual, it was spiritual alignment. In other words, to discipline the mind was to discipline the soul, and Furcas stands at that threshold. He does not flood you with secrets, he forces you to earn clarity, and that's why his question cuts deeper than most. What wisdom do you fear will die with you? Let's begin in the past. What did you learn that you never shared? What realizations came to you in silence? Moments of clarity that reframed your perception, but never left your inner world. We all hoard knowledge, not necessarily out of selfishness, sometimes out of fear. Fear that we cannot articulate it properly. Fear that others will misunderstand. Fear that sacred will become trivial if spoken aloud. But hoarded wisdom decays. It turns inward. It stagnates. Then eventually it disappears. Think about your own life and the lessons you learned the hard way, the truth you uncovered through suffering, the realizations that brought you peace. How much of that have you truly transmitted, and how much have you kept locked inside yourself? Furcas does not accuse, he reveals. Unshared wisdom is not preserved wisdom. It is forgotten potential. So in the present, what teaching waits? The question is not just about what you've lost. It is about what is waiting. There is knowledge inside of you right now that is not meant to stay there. Not polished, not perfect, not complete, but ready. Teaching is not the final stage of mastery. It is the process that completes it. When you teach, you refine. When you explain, you clarify. When you share, you discover the gaps in your own understanding. Furcas, as a philosopher of discipline, reminds us, you do not wait until you are perfect to teach. You teach to become whole. There is someone, maybe many, who would benefit from what you already know. Not the final version of you, the current version of you. And yet we hesitate because teaching is exposure. It's vulnerability. It's the risk of being wrong. And more than that, it's the risk of being misunderstood. And this is where I confront my own answer to this question. The wisdom I fear will die with me is not the knowledge, but it's the context. I fear that I will not be able to fully contextualize my experiences and my philosophy within the world before my death. that everything that I've gone through, everything I've learned, refined, or struggled with, will remain fragmented, incomplete in the eyes of others. I will do my best to teach, to speak on my growth, to speak on the peace that I've found, but the fear is not silence. The fear is distortion, that my work could be misunderstood, that what I intend to raise others up could be used to bring others down, that something meant to unify could be twisted into division. That is the shadow of teaching, not failure, but misuse, because once wisdom leaves you, you no longer control it, and that is terrifying. Now in the future, what inheritance survives? What inheritance do you actually leave behind? Not your intentions, not your internal clarity, only what is received. And reception is unpredictable. Furcas teaches discipline not just in learning, but in transmission. Because legacy is not what you meant, but what actually continues. I believe this. While we will all ascend in death, we are responsible for what remains in life. I want to teach others to transcend, not just spiritually, but ethically, intellectually, collectively, to grow in knowledge, to grow in service, to self and to all, and more than anything, to leave behind a better earth, not for those who agree with me, but for all earthlings, even those who challenge me, especially those who challenge me, because evolution does not come from agreement. It comes from friction, from contrast, from the tension between perspectives. So the inheritance I want to leave is not a fixed system, not a rigid doctrine, but something alive, something that can evolve, something that can be used for growth in any time moving forward. Furcas lays out this path where you doubted your authority, you questioned whether you had the right to teach, whether your voice was valid, whether your understanding was complete enough. Then wisdom seeks transmission. It does not exist to set inside you. It pushes outward. It demands expression. And then there's that transformation when you realize that teaching completes knowing. You become a teacher to reach mastery, and then you pass it on. Not completely, not perfectly, but necessarily, because the alternative is decay. And that's the truth that can't be avoided here. Unshared wisdom decays. It does not wait for the perfect moment. It does not preserve itself indefinitely. It fades, it dissolves, and eventually it dies with you. But shared wisdom, even if misunderstood, even if altered, even if imperfect, has the potential to live, to adapt, to evolve, to become something greater than you originally intended. And that is the paradox. You fear being misunderstood, but understanding is not static. It evolves over time, across generations, across minds that you'll never meet. So the question is not, will they understand you perfectly? They won't. The question is, will you give them something worth evolving? And Furcas does not demand perfection. He demands responsibility to your knowledge, to your growth, to your voice, and to your legacy. So what wisdom do you fear will die with you? What are you still holding back? And if you knew your time was limited, what would you finally choose to teach? Because in the end, knowing is not enough. Understanding is not enough. Even becoming is not enough. You must pass it on.
And the angels surrounded their dead God, while I just sat there screaming, spread your wings and fly on, 'cause you're free from your chosen one. But they put the crown back on him and said another song. Eyelashes and lip gloss that tickle my fantasy. Song